Hello everyone, Relle here, and this week we'll be examining Supergiant's latest release, Pyre. Though Supergiant has a history of top-tier games, the departure in gameplay style from their previous works may have you asking yourself, should you buy it? Much like their previous games, Pyre opens with the main character, you the reader, waking up in an unfamiliar place without any clue of how you got there. Over the course of your journey, you gradually learn more and more about yourself, your friends, and the world around you. The game takes place in a purgatory-esque locale, the Downside, alongside others like you who have been exiled for some crime or another. The only way to be free of the Downside is to take place in the Rites, a 3v3 combat ritual somewhat akin to basketball. Win the Rites, and you can go free. If you can win. Pyre holds up to Supergiant's tradition of making games with absolutely exquisite visuals and delightful soundtracks. Every screen of this game pops with color and style, and Darren Korb, the composer, once again brings his A-game with the music. Likewise, your companions are interesting and unique, each with their own personalities and histories you gradually come to learn over the course of the game. The meat of the game is in the Rites itself, and here Supergiant once again comes up with an engaging and fun combat system, albeit one with trappings in traditional sports games. The Rites are 3-on-3, and the goal is to grab the orb and take it to the enemy's pyre. There's quite a bit of strategy to it, as you can either throw in the orb for fewer points or take the orb directly in with a character dealing more damage, but in exchange you temporarily lose that character, making it 2v3 for the following round. You can banish opponents by firing your aura at them, but doing so leaves you vulnerable to attack until your aura regenerates, and that isn't even mentioning the talismans and masteries that grant additional abilities and buff your stats. In short, Supergiant has taken a typical sports game and baked in a ton of RPG elements and strategy behind it. On top of all this is a deep and very word-heavy story. In fact, you'll likely do more reading in this game than playing the Rites. The story is, of course, up to Supergiant's usual high standards, and the characters involved are all intriguing and add their own flavor to the narrative. This all brings us to the penultimate question: should you buy it? And that's a hard question to answer. The Rites are a pretty big separation from the gameplay of Bastion and Transistor, Supergiant's previous titles. And yet, the Rites are very much a Supergiant creation, and you'll get notes of their previous games when you first play them. The way you prepare your team, their builds, and equipment all speak to the Kid and Red of Bastion and Transistor respectively. With this game, you get the same story, strategic gameplay, graphical artistry, and musical brilliance that Supergiant is known for, but if you're expecting a typical action RPG like their earlier works, temper those expectations. Pyre's gameplay loop is strictly story and character interactions mixed with the Rites, so if you find you don't like that style, you won't get too far with this game. That said, the Rites are not your typical sports game, and the degree and depth of strategy and tactics you can employ may win you over if you're chiefly looking for a good story. Likewise, even if you don't normally take story in your sports games, you may find Supergiant's unique blend to be so captivating and absorbing, you try to end the Rites quickly so you can learn more about the world and your teammates. Pyre is currently available for PlayStation 4, Steam, and Linux for $20 American. You can also get the soundtrack for an additional $10, and much like the previous soundtracks, it's worth it. You can expect to get around 15 hours of gameplay out of Pyre on your first playthrough if you don't rush. If you're a super fan of Supergiant, you may as well drop the 20. You'll get your money's worth and then some. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, subscribe to see more in the future. Let me know what you think of Pyre in the comments below, and I will see you next time.